What's going on?
What's up, guys? What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Opinion City Podcast. As always, Ralph Heinmarch here with my tag team partner, Parma Sean. Sean, what's going on, brother?
What's going on? What is happening today?
It's,
we have, I was going to ask you a question, actually.
Yeah?
Do you feel like Do you feel like this podcast can be championship material?
Championship material. I think this podcast is championship material.
Oh.
And speaking of championship material, we have today as our special guest, pro wrestling agent and the owner of Ruda Entertainment, championship belt makers.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? When you roll with Ruda, you're championship material. So let's bring him in. It's Mr. Ruda.
What's up,
going
everybody?
on, man?
How you guys doing?
How are you?
Hey.
And fancy that me and Sean met over one of those championship belts.
I
know.
That's insane.
Matter of fact.
Got it right there.
Got it right here, baby.
Get this, baby.
Right here, man.
One
of
out
a
of
kind.
10 of those were made for the Nation of Domination, man.
Yep.
That awesome once in a... Who knows if they're going to do it again.
Who knows?
Yeah.
But a very, very rare reunion of the Nation of Domination, custom made.
Yeah.
You got 1 in 10 in existence, man.
Yeah, man. Listen, you sucked me into it. Although I will say I'm a little bit discouraged because the first one you gave me had the Mark Henry one sign in the back, and then this one you gave me did not have a sign Mark Henry on the back.
No kidding. There's no Mark Henry on that one.
No.
No lie. There might have been 1 or 2 that slipped through the crack. I tell you what, if you want to exchange those the next time I see it, you come to a show, I have 2 left that I know have everybody's signature on it.
Okay.
I have no problem switching it.
Very cool.
You heard it here first, people. Right there. That's the kind of man.
Pro
That's
wrestling.
the kind of man Ruda is.
Yeah.
That's
Let's
the kind
go,
of man
man.
Ruda is.
Battlefield Pro Wrestling or Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling, right in Northeast PA. You ever come, we got you, man.
Right.
Listen, Pennsylvania Premier Wrestling runs 10 minutes down the road from my house.
Yep.
Get out of here,
Yeah,
PPW. You're right. You're
Yep.
right in Slatington.
I'm in
right there.
Lehighton.
Yep.
So I'm right there.
Not at that show. I'm the general manager there.
Yes, I know. Listen, believe me, I have been. I was at their. I used to go see them in Hazleton all the time because I used to actually back in the day when I worked for Pennsylvania Championship Wrestling Alliance. You know, we worked with Paul Bow quite a bit, and I used to go see them in Hazleton all the time. And I was at their very first show in Slatington.
You just gave me chills, dude. You just gave me chills.
Yeah, good times, man.
It is so crazy how people I've come across in the wrestling industry, from everywhere from wrestlers to managers to podcasters, anything.
Mm-hmm.
A good buddy of mine, Tony, we didn't even realize it. We're like in the same section for WrestleMania in Tampa.
Right.
It's like a couple sections over, literally diagonal from each other. We had no idea each other was
That's
there.
awesome.
We didn't even know each other at the time. Yeah, when they were in Hazleton, I grew up in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when they were in Hazleton, not only did I not know about independent wrestling scene back then when I was a kid, but by the time I found out about it, a good buddy of mine who I got into the business, does refereeing here and there, he used to take his kids there all the time. And it was because it was the local show that they knew.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a kid that grew up on WWE, when you hear indies, it's like,
Yeah.
Right.
no thank you.
It's not,
And then
not
you
as
grow up
good.
and you
exactly.
realize that's where the secret sauce is at.
Yep. 100%.
PPW, I went there as
sauce.
a fan. Now I'm in the ring as a general manager.
Right.
Crazy. Well, I will say this, just since we're kind of on the subject and talking about Sean's belt there. I gotta say, when he bought that belt and he brought it over and showed me and he handed it to me, man, that is a beautifully made belt. Like that is solid. That's a really, like, you see belts out there and you don't see quality all the time, but that belt is gorgeous. Like, it is real quality.
Right.
There was about 7 years worth of belt makers that I've dealt with, and I came across one guy whose just quality was top notch. He wanted to do business. We worked out a great deal, and I mean, I don't want to downplay what Sean has at all, but that is about as basic gets. That's a brass material, so it's like the cheaper, faker, heavy metal. There's brass and there's zinc.
Right.
So he's got the brass, not the zinc, and he's got a 2 millimeter thickness, not 4 millimeter. The zinc goes up to 6, so he's got the thinnest and the lightest. And still, when people hold that, they're like, "Oh wow, this feels
Right,
like a
yeah.
real thing." I'm like,
But
"You
knowing
have
that-
no idea."
knowing what he has and seeing
Yeah.
what the quality of that
Yep.
is already, you can just
phenomenal.
imagine how
Amazing.
yeah.
It's great for
Amazing,
adults that want to have it in a display case. It's good
Yep.
for kids. I have plenty of parents that bought one for them and their kids. So like it's
Nice.
a parent and son, like a father and son tag team champion. Me and my best buddy back in Brooklyn back in the day got the old school golden era tag team titles.
Oh
custom
yeah.
made for
That's
like
awesome.
our apartment of 525. So instead
Yeah.
of there's 525, and
That's amazing.
you know they're the greatest things for people to get. They're nice, they're affordable, they look great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good
They
collector's
do.
item.
Oh, for sure. So how did you get into the belt creating business? Like what got you into that whole scene?
I mean, it's been about as indirect as even getting into the wrestling scene. Nothing I never ever thought of, never even.
Mhm.
But I remember, like when I was a kid, me and my buddy Dan would have like those fucking foam belts that like they look like. I mean, to us as kids, they're amazing. But you look
Yeah,
back
but
at them now, it's
yeah,
like,
they were not.
This is what they sold. But I always loved those. He had them. It's my parents were always like, "You're not wasting our money on that crap," you know. Kind of
Right,
thing.
right.
So I always had the fascination for the belts, and as I have stepped in shit many times in my life, it led me into pro wrestling.
Right.
Just to stumble into it for my career, sales guy, I met a promoter who said, if you want to come, one thing led to another. I'll get into that. I started being the manager, and I thought, I need some kind of a prop. And I love the $1 Million Man's gimmick, where you had the $1 Million belt.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted it. Nobody could take it. If they lost the championship match, it was by DQ or count out.
Yep.
They won, it was, cheating or straight up. And my specialty was life insurance, right? That's why I got into New York Life. I was doing a life insurance deal. That's how I was networking. I met the promoter. I came into the place and held child IDs. Like I made child IDs for like the kids at the shows.
Yeah.
So I got to watch for free. One thing led to another, and I thought, what if I made this championship called the Life Insurance Championship?
Nice.
And I'd be lined
awesome.
up with the biggest guys in the
awesome.
business. And the whole gimmick was, I'll give you a match. I'll give you a shot at a championship. I'll give you a shot at the payday. But you got to take out a life insurance policy because I'm afraid my guy's going to kill you. And it was a great way. I actually met plenty of clients that way. The spin on the angle was great. It rolled into a couple other things. I had the Life Insurance Championship. I've had the Open Weight or the Open Challenge Championship off on Hawaii. Held that. I have a U.S. title. I've got my own custom one. So every time I've gone to a different promotion, I've had a different belt to kind of fulfill. The life insurance one was rather gimmicky. Now I kind of had more that were a little bit more serious.
Right.
That looked a little bit more serious. But yeah, I mean, like the one that I had with Alpha, I'll step off camera here to show you.
Oh yeah.
This was like, I mean, of all of them that I had, this was probably one of my This is like my version of Big Gold. It's got this big fucking dollar sign in there.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And
that's
this
nice.
is 6mm plates. It's like super, super thick.
Yeah, that's official.
And when you say like 10 pounds of gold, like this fucker's about 12. You give this to a kid to hold, and like you give it to my nephew.
It just drops it.
It
just drops
like,
it.
oh my god!
I remember in 8th grade, because that one of my kids in class was niece to DDP, and he would come to work school all the time.
You're a teacher.
No. Just
when you were in school.
Yeah, one of my people in my class of 2008.
In grade.
Yeah,
was the niece of DDP.
Yeah, so when I was in 8th grade, he came to visit all of us, and we were in line to meet him, and he had the big gold belt on him, and he was like, "All right, get ready for the photo," and he drops him. I'm like, "Oh!" Like it's just like, "Oh my god!" It was not ready for
do you remember which one that was? Did it have like that bented tip at the top?
I just remember it being the big gold belt. I don't remember which version it was. I just remember
the details.
Exactly. I was too young to remember the details of it. I just remember him saying, "All right, ready," and he drops. I'm like, "Oh, definitely wasn't ready for that." It's heavy. This stuff's heavy, man. I have the Kane belt behind me, the anniversary one, and that one is solid. That one is like 25 pounds at least. That one's heavy.
Yeah. So when we were at we were at a Legends Fan Fest. It was in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. When we got the Nation of Domination together.
Yep.
I had a custom made belt. It was 6mm zinc, the thickest, the heaviest version you could make. I had an Intercontinental made for D'Lo, a European made for D'Lo,
Nice.
Big Gold made for Mark Henry, the tag team title made for Ron Simmons. Who was the last guy in there? And an Intercontinental Championship, the purple one made for the Godfather.
Awesome.
And D'Lo actually placed an order with me. We're shipping out his belt tomorrow for the Intercontinental Championship.
Nice.
It's the one that was on purple leather.
Oh, that's so cool.
But
That's
he was
cool.
like, he said, this is absolutely amazing. He goes, this is heavier and nicer than what we have to play with in the real deal.
Right, right.
He's like, but like, usually what you would pay for something that I sell like that, those 6mm zinc belts.
Right.
I mean, those are the deluxe belts that they call. You see them, it's super deluxe or whatever.
Right.
And those can go for like $1,000 to like $1,200.
Yeah.
$500 I sell them for, and that's what you get off of the WWE shop.
Yeah.
And, I mean, those have like the stiff leather. You can throw it over your shoulder, and the thing's like sticking straight out.
Yeah.
I think they have like a
this
really
one
thick
has a
brass
nice.
one.
This one has a nice because it wraps perfectly around. Like there's no. It has a nice give to it.
And that's actually the fake leather too. Like the ones that we have for like the zinc belts are like the really authentic, like high quality leather straps.
Right.
I think you might have saw like the big one that I had.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was right up front.
So the difference of them.
Yeah, you had the main one, and then you had these ones ready to go. I'm like, all right, I guess I gotta go for it.
One of these days we'll get you hooked up. I got you guys too. We got to get you made one for the podcast.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of
That
course.
logo would be perfect on like a winged eagle belt, right? With the
yeah, that would be awesome for sure.
I can. See that would be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
We could work something out for sure.
So not for nothing, and not playing anybody else down in the Nation of Domination. But how nice of a guy is Ron Simmons? I had a chance to meet him. A friend of mine brought him into another signing one time, and so I got a chance to talk to him a little bit. And just watching him interact with the people, watching him interact with the kids, he is the nicest, most giving person. It is unbelievable. He is so nice. Yeah.
Yep. I was privileged to be able to be like his chauffeur for the weekend. So I shared plenty of car time with him.
Yeah.
Just the conversation, you don't feel like he's who he is. You know what I mean?
Well,
it almost felt like the big uncle to you.
Let me ask you this, because we weren't sure, and I don't think he was advertised for Steel Stocks. Was he supposed to be there, or did he just show up?
No, he showed up. That was,
I was gonna say,
that was so cool.
He wasn't
on any car. He just showed up.
So me and Ken Hoover, the guy who actually originally put it together and booked them, was basically saying he wasn't signed for it. He wasn't, he had absolutely no requirement or obligation to be there at all.
Right.
I know it was great for him to get reunited with, the rest of the fellas there.
Yeah,
sure.
I know that was a big, and I don't want to pat myself on the back at all. But Ken was worried about talking to him and asking him. He had absolutely no obligation to be there.
Right.
But me and him, I just felt like we had such an amazing conversation and built such a great rapport in the car.
Yeah.
At one point in time, when the guys asked him, the nation said, "Oh yeah, you should come out." I said, "Come on, man, it'll be a good time." And he was like, "All right, let's go." And I felt like I had that last minute sale to get him in there.
Nice.
But,
that was so cool. Yeah.
Man, we didn't expect him to be there. He had a blast. I don't think he anticipated having that much fun, but
that's great.
He's a hell of a guy. Definitely a hell of a person.
Such a nice guy. Such a nice guy.
And if I'm not mistaken, Ken brings a lot of guys to PPW shows, correct?
So when I went and I started working at PPW, basically he's the reason that I was even working with some of the pros. He brings in the people, they get booked on the show.
Yeah,
it's a nice situation. He's kind of new to the game too. He's kind of just he's been in it for a hot minute. Definitely not a noob in any kind of way.
Yeah,
sure.
But I mean, Ken's a guy that when he figures it out and when he really sinks his feet in.
Right.
In that area of work, he's really going to do some damage because he makes a lot of great connections. He's very professional. Not one person has ever been burnt or twisted by any of his.
He's done a great job with talents he's brought into a PPW, and again, not for nothing, but PPW puts on a great show. It's a great show for the fans.
Solid.
Quality talent from top to bottom. They have that sprinkling in of, your bigger names and things like that. And it's just, it's a fun time, and they're in a great place now. Like, it feels like the Slatington marketplace is perfect for them, because there's entertainment, there's food, there's drink, it's just a perfect pairing. So I'm really happy.
The adults do like to get loaded. I've gotten very close to a couple people and have smelled the entertainment on their
Dude, here's the thing though. It's nice. Like, it's also the kind of place, like, my wife and I can go. I can get a beer, she can get a glass of wine, and we can go in and sit down and just enjoy some wrestling.
Anything for anybody, totally.
Yeah, it's perfect. So it's a lot of fun. If you have a chance to go out and check that, that's Slatington, Pennsylvania, and PPW shows. But
and the access on the Premier Streaming Network too. That's like
phenomenal.
There you go.
Incredible. Because
there you go.
Yeah, they deserve that for everything that Paul has done with that organization. It's good to see that they get that opportunity.
We're actually going to be introducing some brand new trios titles.
Oh, yes, that is very exciting. Yeah,
that's exciting.
I should have them delivered here by Tuesday or Wednesday, but I don't know if you want to know that I.
So that's the finals of the tournament at PPW Lights Out. That's very cool. The real one, Enzo Amore, is going to be on that show. He's a blast. Like, he is just a riot from top to bottom. So
always is.
That's gonna be a lot of fun for the fans. He's good with the fans. He's a real
natural talent, entertainer.
Yeah.
That guy just opens up his mouth. I don't even know if he knows what's going to be coming out.
Exactly. It's just a mystery every time.
Yeah.
The mystery every time. Speaking of PPW, how did you get involved? How did you become general manager of PPW?
Yeah, so it's funny. Alpha Anawahi just celebrated his 1-year anniversary at BPW. It's at that Signature Training Academy. And I have to look back at my text. I don't want to do it while I'm on here with you now. But he sent me a text. This was back in like maybe 2020, 2021.
Okay.
Just this picture of this empty venue. It was like, I got this for something. He's like, and he starts throwing his ideas about a wrestling school or a promotion or whatever. And I had a buddy of mine in New York, Rob Saint. He runs New Evolution Wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He was looking to try to put on a show. We're all in the pandemic. Everything's shut down. And we're like, we got to get wrestling back before we go crazy.
Right.
So Alpha said, I got this venue. Rob said, I want in. They worked out a deal. We came in. We held a show there. I ended up getting chokeslammed by Mil Muertes.
Nice.
In the middle of the ring. And after the show, I'm walking in the back, and Anthony McKeegan and Paul Bowe of PPW were there, and they just said, that was one hell of a bump you just took there.
Right.
Are you interested in doing anything else? And they mentioned that they had just booked a PPW show there.
Right.
So next thing you know, I went from one show at PPW in the crowd. The next show, I'm in the middle of the ring in the beginning of the show, cutting a promo.
Nice.
And I matched up with Joey Martinez, and the rest is history. Here we are. So it really, if not for Alpha, if not for COVID, really too. Right before the pandemic, I actually just broke into Evolve Wrestling.
Okay.
They had a tryout in Brooklyn. Adam Cole was running the seminar. Gabe Paulski asked me to stick around and be on the show. That led to a booking in Michigan. I had a promo in the ring with like Brandon Vink and a couple other people.
Wow.
And then the pandemic hit and nothing. Yeah. These guys go to WWE and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what? When it's your time, it's your time.
Of
right?
course.
Like I try and tell people all the time, don't get so freaking caught up on where you want to be. Just enjoy where you're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are in the scene. I'm in the scene in our own different area. As
Right.
long as you want to get to wherever you want to be, don't quit.
Yeah.
Period. If you're in it, you're going to get there. And when you get there, you get there.
Yeah.
So, I could do BPW and PPW for the next 10 years and be happy. Keep me busy 3 weekends out of the year, or out of the month, I should say.
Right.
Sure.
So, I don't need to be on the big screen just yet. But that was a moment for the pandemic that hit. I thought it was over. Then this happened. And I think we're on a roll right now, really building some really great quality shows with PPW and BPW. They're amazing with their production right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So, let's talk a little bit about some of your clients that you're currently managing.
Sure, yeah. There's Joey Martinez, the closer.
Yes.
When we actually did our show in the Signature Training Academy fresh out of COVID, I was working with, I don't know if you guys know the Sambo show, Sam Adams, El Lobo.
Yeah.
Not familiar.
So they were the tag team champions, trios tag team champions with Lance on Oahe.
Okay.
Yep.
And there are 3 men that they faced. Joey was one of them. So again, in wrestling, you can also be aware of some people in the field. You don't know who they are, or where you're going to be matched up, or where you're going to cross them down the road.
Right.
I had no idea me and him would be, literally attached to the hip, multiple different promotions.
Right.
There's the notorious VIN, Vinnie Mac.
Vinnie Mac.
Tremendous. And both literally tremendous. That is what he goes by. Nice. Tremendous one.
Nice.
And, it's awesome watching them and learning from them, because these are 2 guys that periodically, and I would say maybe even from month to month, end up on a SmackDown or a Raw. If they come back to the area, they're in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. These guys are getting the invite to go.
Right.
I've seen Vinny get shoved against the guardrail by Brock Lesnar. I've seen Vinny also get, a champagne bottle over the head by Jeff Hardy.
Oof.
Like, these guys are in the mix. Like, they're right there. So, I mean, whether or not that ever leads to anything or not, just the invaluable experience I get just by watching them in the ring, watching them in the back, learning how they structure the match, the psychology of everything. It's awesome. But then just not like pros like that. I've worked with Gene Snitsky. I've worked with Alpha, the 2 of them. Not just in the ring, but we've actually done a movie together. I don't know if you guys have seen 100 Acres of Hell.
That's cool.
Heard of it?
No. 100
Check
Acres
that
of
out.
Hell.
100 Acres of Hell. Yeah, we made an independent film years back. And this is like me and a couple of my buddies in a film company years back. A zombie movie. And I remember having this premiere. And again, like C quality film, totally bootleg.
Sure.
I think you could maybe find it on YouTube, maybe.
Yeah, very very campy, fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. But it caught Gene's attention. I remember doing our premiere in this little like Jersey gutter rank theater, and Gene was there. And next thing you know, Gene and my 2 buddies write this script for what we call Manhunt. Right. And it turned into 100 Acres of Hell. And, to be working with Gene, he was our main character. We had Sam Moo on Oahe, was our killer.
Nice.
By the name of Jeb Tucker. I actually, crazy enough, you'll be able to see it here.
Oh, wow.
Have a tattoo of him right here. So that was the killer of our movie.
That's very cool.
Jeb Tucker. Sam Moo played the character. Alpha did his stunts. And they have like this nice fight scene in the end of the movie too, which is badass.
It's awesome.
So I've had my share of, working with guys on the up and up, and I've worked with plenty of pros as well. It's just, I literally have the greatest seat in the house. That's what I love about the manager role, is not front row. And doing what they do in the ring, I've had 2 matches, one-on-one matches in the past, which basically consisted of me taking bumps. Yeah, if you go on YouTube, you can see them. So me getting my ass kicked until the end of the match, where whatever happened.
Yeah. Sure.
And, I mean, that's like a 5-minute match. Maybe a half a dozen bumps, and no thank you. What they do in the ring is tough. It's dangerous. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
So to be ringside to watch these guys and learn from them, it's been the 7 years I've been doing it, an absolutely amazing journey so far.
Sure.
Right. Is there a specific manager or managers that you sort of has inspired your role as a manager that you take from?
Paul Heyman, Bobby Heenan, and Jim Cornette, all in one.
Okay.
That's
a hodgepodge of managers, man.
Yeah, but that's,
I think it's. I like the idea of
it does.
It does. I got the business savvy of Paul Heyman, the dressing, the smooth talking. I feel. Paul Heyman, or not Paul Heyman, Bobby Heenan had the family. I have a whole bunch of guys. I'm eventually going to be working on the Ruda family, but I feel like the family is overused.
Yeah.
And then Jim Cornette, that asshole is always on the side of the apron, running around the ring. You could never stop him. He get thrown out, he's back around the other. So I like the whole mix of all that. I like the suit on the top. I usually have jeans on the bottom because I'm always in the mix. I never know what I got to do to get down. So I would say those 3 have definitely been the inspiration.
Right.
Very cool. So were you a wrestling fan growing up? Is it something that you've always kind of been into? And maybe what are your some of your favorites from back in the day, and maybe what do you like? What kind of stuff do you follow now? Who do you like to watch?
Totally. Yeah, I can remember the day I was 7 years old watching horror movies. And I think my dad, to get me off of horror movies, wanted me to watch something else. I
Okay.
remember the day he handed the VHS to me that his buddy recorded off a pay-per-view of SummerSlam 1990.
Oh
Like,
wow.
here I am looking at this old yellow and black VHS, opening up SummerSlam 1990. You know, like there's Jake the Snake. You see Bobby the Heenan and his family on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The steel cage match between Rick Rude and Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
grabbed me. That instantly was like, oh, this stuff is awesome.
Yeah.
So, you know, like that was the era that got me. You know, like to see. I'll say this right up front because he was the biggest name in the business, John Cena. But that era kind of ruined it for me because it went from like I was a kid, you go through the Attitude Era, it's getting badass, and then you're shoved right back into the PG era.
Yeah.
Thanks to him. Never a better advocate in the WWE than that guy, though. But as a fan, that aspect ruined it. But what I loved was having guys like Hogan and Undertaker and Shawn Michaels on their second run, bringing all these other guys up like Randy Orton, Batista, you know what I mean? Like Triple H, all those guys.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say the golden era of wrestling was my favorite. The early 2000s, pretty much coming out of Attitude Era into like the end of the golden era. But I love where it's going right now. Like that whole mid to late 2000s is kind of stale. I feel it was the same damn thing for 12 years.
Yeah.
I feel like they were trying to figure things out. I feel like this pandemic, though, was what really reinvigorated and reinvented wrestling because a lot of companies are out mix now. I wager to say the independents are putting on better shows than the major companies.
Yes.
And you're not going to know about it unless you follow those companies. I've seen matches. I'm like, I don't know if you guys have seen or picked up on. Casey Navarro had a match with Matt Cardona at BPW.
Yes.
If you can get your hand on watching that match, I would gamble any money. You put that against a WrestleMania main event, and it could hold that kind of a level of entertainment. And you're catching that on the indies for a $20 ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what the hell? You know, like, so interesting times are coming. And I think it's only going to get crazier and it's only going to get more and more exciting, too.
And the great thing about independent wrestling right now is that it's so accessible to people. Between between the live shows, between Fight TV, IWTV, Premier Network, there's
Premier streaming network, it's $100 and you get the whole year everything.
Yes, it's I mean there's just one of those streaming services alone, the amount of content you get
on one.
And
you can't beat it.
We used to have to read like the back section of Pro Wrestling Illustrated to find out what was going on with companies over on the other side of the country. And now, like, we can just throw on the computer and you have access to everything. It is so amazing. It's such a great time to be involved in the business.
Absolutely.
In any sort of manner, because there's just, and I mean, WrestleMania weekend this year, I think, is going to showcase that, because what people don't understand sometimes about WrestleMania weekend is that it's not just about WrestleMania. No. That's like a hub for independent wrestling.
It's like a mecca.
The amount of independent wrestling you can see in Philadelphia, around the area, northern Jersey.
Shows at the 2300 arena, the old ECW arena right down the street.
Shows at the 2300. You've got the Monster Factory is going to be running all week in New Jersey. You've got, Labor of Love is running 2 shows in Philly. Like, there's just so much going on that, like, an independent fan can go there. And, like when they have the Collective, you've got 3 days of wrestling there. And there are so many different shows. Like we were just talking off the air. Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling just announced they're going to have a show at the Collective during WrestleMania weekend. So like the amount of stuff you're able to see in one weekend there, it's just it's incredible. And
a lot
as a wrestling fan who grew up in the 80s and lived through the Attitude Era and that kind of stuff, like. You could never have imagined, like we could have never imagined that we'd have this opportunity right now.
No.
And we're still we're those grown ass kids, man. You know,
Yeah.
like we haven't grown out of it, and it's only gotten better and evolved for us.
Yeah. So
right. So, as general manager of PPW, what are some of the tasks you need to perform?
So opening the show is one thing, making sure we have some kind of an opening segment, something to kind of kick off the show, leading to the first match there. You mentioned Paul Bowe before. It's really cool. They've had a mix up behind the stage, and he's really kind of put a couple of us in charge of either booking the matches or booking creative.
Right.
And as that general manager, he's kind of tasked me with partial creative. So a lot of the wrestlers that have these ideas, a lot of the other managers that have ideas are coming to me to tell me what their ideas are, which I love, number one, because I don't think there's a better form of manifesting, creating, right, than there is in professional wrestling. You get these ideas in your head,
right,
and you hear people talk about, you know, the power of creation or manifestation all the time.
Yeah.
It starts with something, right? And to be in the back and have these ideas or these angles. There's a guy, I forget how to say his name, Jared Cyclebird or Cyberclite, something like that. I'm not sure if his moniker is the Trust Fund guy or Trust Fund approved. But I've seen this guy like on the scene for, I couldn't tell you how many years, for the last 4 or 5 years. And he ends up backstage at PPW. Wrecking Ball Legursky brought him in from a different Northeastern Wrestling, not New Evolution.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we saw him at a show.
Yeah, we did.
We're in the back kind of just pitching this whole idea. We're like, well, what are we going to do with them? And like, who are wrestlers we can move them with? And Legursky just comes walking by and was like, you guys look like you're twins. Like, you could be brothers.
Right.
And I had the light bulb right over my head. I'm like, that's fucking it. You're my brother. You're Jared Ruda. And he was super excited for it. It worked. Yeah. People in the crowd loved it. So like, the number one thing I absolutely love about, and this is normally just a role, but Paul really did take on the trust in saying, get some ideas. He's the Vince McMahon. He's the final say.
There you go. Right.
But he trusts us enough to say what the ideas are, what direction is. He says, go for it. And we've been getting a lot of good reviews from the fans as well. So to know that there's a different area of the show that can be involved outside of the wrestling, but not, you know, the show's about the wrestlers, the show's about all that, but you still need those storylines and those,
of course,
you know, airlining details there to get everything flowing in the right direction. So that's, I think, the most fun about it is the creativity side of it, is trying to make sure you can put the show together.
Right.
So let's sort of switch tracks here a little bit. Let's talk about Ruda Entertainment.
Oh yeah,
and we could do that with your main event too, if you guys want to get into those top 5 of talking points, those top 5 titles.
Okay, well, maybe we can do a little break first and then make that be the big scene.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's do that. We'll take a short break here. We're gonna let you look at our ad for our sponsor, and then when we come back,
check out RudaEntertainment.com as well.
There you go.
Very cool. So when we come back, we're going to get into everything Ruda Entertainment, RudaEntertainment.com. We're going to get into our main event, our top 5 wrestling championships, and
throwback.
We will see you when we are back on Opinion City.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Introducing Ref Larry's Wrestling Collectibles, your ultimate destination for all things wrestling nostalgia. At Ref Larry's Wrestling Collectibles, they don't just sell items, they curate memories. Whether you're a fan of the classic era or modern showdowns, they've got something for everyone. Ref Larry's Wrestling Collectibles sells DVDs, books, magazines, action figures, and so much more. So stop on by Ref Larry's Wrestling Collectibles, where every piece tells a story and every fan becomes a part of the legacy. Ref Larry's Wrestling Collectibles is conveniently located inside Mother Tucker's Antiques and Collectibles, located at 566 North Reading Road in Ephrata, PA. Stop on by Thursday through Monday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Give them a call at 717-405-0153 or find them on social media at Ref Larry's WC. Ref Larry's Wrestling Collectibles is a proud sponsor of the Opinion City podcast. And now, back to the show.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Opinion City podcast. We want to thank Ref Players Wrestling for being a proud sponsor of the Opinion City podcast. If you want to be a sponsor, please shoot us an email, opinioncitypod@gmail.com.
With that, Sean, I think you know what time it is.
I think I do. Do you do?
I do too.
What about you, Ruda?
It's the main event, baby.
That's right.
This week, we are doing a throwback top 5, if you will. This was because we used this one back in our championship extravaganza episode. Mm-hmm. But because of Ruda Entertainment, baby, we're doing top 5 championship belts all over again with Mr. Ruda and Ruda Entertainment. He's holding one right now, as am I, his belt that he made for the Nation Domination. What is the belt that you have on screen, sir?
So this is what my life insurance championship has evolved into. This is
nice. That's
one of my
so
custom-made
That's awesome.
world championships. You can see I got my Ruda logo on there.
Yep.
Everyone always has to have some kind of big eagle on their belt.
Yep. Mine's down here somewhere.
World champion, it says right there.
Yeah.
My logo's right over here on the side.
Yep. That's too cool.
This is one of like a 4mm zinc plate, so it's probably about like 7-8 pounds.
Nice.
But this is what I've been using at BPW with their futures division.
Nice.
And the whole idea is once Joey Martinez wins that futures championship, we're throwing that sucker in the trash and putting this one over his shoulder. But at PPW, we actually have, speaking of PPW from earlier, this is my United States Championship.
Wow.
That I've incorporated there. So in that one, I've been using this one. We don't have a champion just yet. We're trying to figure something about it.
But sure you will.
The beauty of Ruda Entertainment is you can take anything you want, find a plate that you like, put any words that you want in there, custom, any logo you want, like not the traditional flag, but
right.
You know, I have something a little bit different there. There used to be a European flag in the middle here.
Oh, cool.
So, you know, you can do whatever you want, whatever color leather you want. We actually have the strap buckle, so no Velcro like they're using today.
Sure.
Yeah, no Velcro.
No Velcro, man. Anti-Velcro.
No Velcro. The only Velcro belt I have is the Daniel Bryan custom belt from a few years ago. That's it.
Yes.
But it's a great belt though. I
do like the Ruda logo. That is
it's a very cool logo.
Yeah,
I was trying to look for something. I found it online. I stole it from somebody, but there was no name attached to it.
Stolen it.
So I said, I'm taking it.
Yeah, it looks great. It's
definitely not original.
Definitely, it definitely
looks
stands
good.
out on a belt.
It looks good. It stands out.
That's all that matters.
That is right.
They say don't tell anybody your secrets. I already spoke to my.
Oh, there you go. It's already out there. It's already out there.
That happens.
How about we talk about some titles here?
Yes, let's go top 5 titles. Let's go number 5.
Number 5. Who doesn't love
the
European champion?
European belt, baby. Yes, that is one of the nicer looking belts in wrestling history for sure.
They did it.
I got it on the black leather.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've had it made on the I don't know if you remember the green leather with the red back before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really cool one. My buddy Tantalizing Tony, if you know him.
Tony.
Yep.
Shout out to Tony.
He's got that one on his shelf. But this one, not because of the people we work with and because he's a customer, I'm not partial, but this one is signed by my favorite European champion, D'Lo Brown.
Nice.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
So
yeah,
I made sure that.
Yes. I will say this about European. I will say this about European champions. D'Lo Brown was a great European champion.
Absolutely.
I feel like if you think about the belt, you think about him, you know, because it's just like he's so synonymous with it. But oddly enough, in my own ridiculous way, I was always a big fan of Al Snow as the European champion.
Oh yeah, Al Snow's run was incredible. He was just so ridiculous every week in and out. I remember when he came down and he was representing Italy and he had a framed picture of Tony Danza, and I just thought that man's a genius. Taking nothing away from D'Lo Brown, because honestly, when you think of that belt, you think of him. Super talented. Definitely
definitely had a lot to do with making that title what it was at that time.
Right.
You know, kind of
Right.
putting that title on the map. But it
For
is.
sure.
It, is a
It was
beautiful title.
introduced great between Owen Hart and British Bulldog. They
Yeah.
put on a banger match to bring it in, but I don't think
Yeah.
it was elevated until it got passed around by guys like D'Lo.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
You know, 'cause
Right.
Like
those
even
are-
Shawn Michaels held this, right? Michaels
Yeah.
actually made
Oh,
this
yeah,
look
yeah.
as like a legitimate title.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Very cool.
great first pick, sir. Great first pick.
Yeah.
Well, I got number 4 here.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Is that what I think it is?
Oh,
It is.
That's the big
exactly
gold
what
belt.
you think it is.
10 pounds. Yep.
That's the big gold. Big goldie.
Yeah,
There's
this is
just-
the WWE version, though, not the WCW version.
Oh, okay. It's a V version. Okay. That's still
Gotcha.
cool.
Yeah.
Still
And
cool.
Nation of Domination, none other than Mark Henry on
Oh
there.
yeah.
Nice.
Of course.
Dude,
But I'm in the
I mean,
process of getting CM Punk plates delivered to me.
oh,
Oh.
okay. Nice.
Wow.
I mean, not for nothing. As cool as the big gold belt was in WWE, Mark Henry made that belt.
Oh my
He
god,
made
Totally.
that belt.
totally.
The Hall of Pain, come on, he made the Hall of Pain, and he made
Yeah.
that belt really mean something for that time, and it was just
So-
so good.
I remember. I mean, he was one of those guys like Kane that I thought, like, what a fucking shame to have these guys.
Yeah, just a
That's such
good
great
big dude.
names.
Yeah,
Such power,
yep,
and they're jobbers.
yeah,
Like, why the hell
Unfortunately,
are guys
yeah.
like that going out and losing? No offense to guys like Rey Mysterio, right? Like,
well, right,
should not be happening. So
Yeah.
I remember when Mark Henry was leaving, I can remember I'm smoking this big fatty on my couch. I'm through the clouds and I'm watching him in the ring with Cena doing their retirement speech.
Oh,
right?
dude, such a good segment.
They
Such
lift
a
up
good
the
segment.
hands. I'm kind of
Yep.
feeling
Yes.
like, give
Not
me
a
a
dry
tear
eye
in
in
the corner
the
of my
house.
eye. And then picks him up and slams Cena
It
through
was
the
such a
mat.
perfect. Oh man,
I don't
Like,
think
like
anybody.
an Eagles fan winning at the last minute. I can't
Right,
tell you how
right.
I jumped up and thought, it's about time. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think nobody knew that was coming.
No,
Nobody.
no.
He
and
suckered
what a
everyone.
reign.
Absolutely.
In. So good.
What a reign.
Yeah.
And thanks to guys like Randy Orton for
Right.
putting him over.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
That was a hell of a feud there.
Mm-hmm.
The thing I liked most about Mark Henry, if you look at a lot of you had big guys that were not wrestling the big guy style. You had guys
Right.
that were coming in and trying to do all these athletic things, and guys like your Bam Bam Bigelow was very athletic, did a lot of
Right.
things that like
So
big men
athletic.
didn't do. Mark Henry went out there, and I've heard him speak about this before in relation to other wrestlers, but he went out there and he wrestled a specific big man style.
Yep.
He went out there and he used that to his advantage, and he made sure that everything he did was believable, looked
Yep.
like it hurt. He
Absolutely.
wrestled what you would expect out of a big man, and I think that made him so much better. That helped to make that Hall of Pain a legitimate thing. And
Yeah.
He's not a baby face either. You
Oh,
need to
no.
put those
No.
Oh, no.
cornrows on him, even shave his head and make him a pissed off guy.
It was
Yeah.
perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah, the baby face on a guy like him just does not work. You have to have someone like him tearing the limbs off of someone.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
and
meant
he
to be
did
a monster.
handsomely. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
great tie for number 4. Great
Yeah,
stuff.
very cool.
And then number 5.
Number
3, I should say.
Ah.
All right, here it comes.
Yep. Oh man, I gotta say,
Ooh.
the Undisputed Championship for me was one of the coolest looking belts for that time
Oh
period.
my
And
god!
like, I was
Yeah.
so upset when they got rid of it because it was one of the cooler looking. If it felt just the look of it looks prestigious,
It
not
looks
just like it
prestigious,
looks legit, man.
Brock
Oh,
Lesnar, The Undertaker,
Yep.
Hogan, Triple H.
Yep.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
It was definitely
JBL.
a
Yeah,
vibe.
dude, JBL was the perfect candidate for that belt too. They mentioned it.
Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
Actually, the nameplate is on here.
Oh, there you go.
Angle.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
So-
it's definitely it evokes a time in wrestling, that you clearly fondly remember, because again, it was
The title doesn't make the wrestlers. This title made that era of wrestling.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
He nailed it. This was
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very much, a period in time where, we got to see a lot of very different and very great champions. Because if you look at the guys that held that, even the guys we just got done naming, they're from one spectrum to the other. Like, there's just so many different styles, so many different personalities. But
do we have John Cena to blame for throwing this in the trash and bringing
probably
out
Cena? That horrendous looking gem of a belt.
You have hit
it
on
only worked
something.
for Cena.
Because I
was talking about that with Ken the other day. Guys like Triple H and CM Punk and Jeff Hardy maybe. But those guys should not have been walking.
No,
around
it was just awkward holding the spinner belt. It was awkward.
Mm-hmm.
They should have went right back to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't even think making the rated R spinner belt helped it. Even though that was a cool idea, it still didn't. It did not make up for that. I mean, I'm sorry. Look, I blame John Cena for most of the things that are wrong with wrestling. That's just me personally. But that spinner belt was an atrocity of belts, an atrocity of championships. It had to be embarrassing for guys to carry that around.
You know who I blame? I blame the kids.
Yes.
It is the kids' fault. The
all
kids.
Those damn merchants.
The damn kids.
Dads that couldn't say no. They ruined it.
If you took all like the 14-year-old girls and 7-year-old boys that watched wrestling and all of their hopes and dreams merged together and created John Cena.
That was it.
I mean,
that was it.
Just
imagine if he just stayed the disrespectful rapper. Like,
oh, dude,
that would have been great.
Listen, I was a fan of that.
Same. I loved
it.
Yes,
it was great.
He had that Royal Rumble where he came out, and like by the time he finished his rap, the next guy was coming out.
Yeah, it was so good. It was so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
such a
shame.
I'm maybe in the minority, but his album wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad.
Listen, it was no Macho Man Randy Savage.
No, of course not. Of course not.
The greatest wrestling album of all time. All right.
I think on Savage, that's the perfect reason to bring in number 2.
Okay, perfect. Let's go.
But which belt was it that he held?
Oh.
And this could be controversial for some. This would be my number 2.
That's
number
a great
2.
The Winged Eagle belt. That's a good
that I'm
belt
getting
too.
ahead of the Winged Eagle belt, but if that's number 2, I can't wait to see what number 1 is.
I know.
The Winged
but
Eagle
that is it is a timeless belt.
I feel like the Winged Eagle belt is the kind of belt that we hold all other championships up to.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The Undertaker.
The names alone, the lineage. Just
The Rock never held this one.
The
Rock never even held this one.
The Rock had that weird round looking one.
Yeah, it was the round one. Yeah.
Big Eagle.
Wasn't as good as that one. That one is like the timeless classic piece. That was
blades were the coolest.
Yeah, that was during the era where before it was before they made like the whole custom belts, like it was custom when the strap was a different color.
Yes.
That's when it was custom.
Yeah.
Like when Warrior had it, it was yellow, it was pink, it was
Warrior
green. Yeah. That was cool
too.
I can't honestly envision Hulk Hogan with any other belt.
No,
NWO World
not
title,
at all.
Whatever it is,
not at all.
When I look at Hulk Hogan, I see that Winged Eagle.
I mean, the big ass NWO on this was pretty freaking cool.
It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
It was pretty.
The Winged
cool.
Eagle belt, I think, means more.
Yeah, because that's.
This is beautiful. It's beautiful.
Of course.
When I look at the Winged Eagle belt, I see my childhood in a nutshell.
Exactly.
There it is, right there. Like
exactly.
It's so beautiful.
It's an amazing belt.
I will. You know what? When I die, I'm gonna get buried with one of those.
There you go. There you go.
I'm telling the wife tonight. Like, listen, when I die,
you
need to bury me.
I need a belt buried with me.
Yes.
Yokozuna was a name that just came to mind.
Oh, Yokozuna.
Of course.
Because they could never make a strap big enough for him.
No,
so it was just always flung on his shoulder.
Flopped over his shoulder.
Yes.
Yep.
Because you can see him, you can see him at WrestleMania,
right?
In Vegas,
right,
holding on to the belt before the giant debacle.
What would you say is your favorite match for that belt, personally?
I mean, the first thing that instantly comes to mind is Warrior in the steel cage.
Yep,
period,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
But what comes to mind is Yokozuna and Bret Hart WrestleMania 10.
Oh,
Even that
that's a
quick
good
switch
But
right at
that's
WrestleMania 9 when Hogan won it right at the end.
yeah, which was
That
terrible.
whole era. That was the whole.
And listen,
So, but that's what like sticks in my mind when I
Of
see
course,
this. But
no,
also,
yeah, of course.
I can picture Shawn Michaels, the boyhood dream come true,
Yep,
holding this
yep.
thing right on.
Yep.
It was cool seeing the Undertaker with that mask on, Diesel.
Yeah,
A lot of
yeah.
the cool guys that held this belt.
so
Yeah.
here's something, and this is something I've always thought. WrestleMania 10. So what they should, because WWE was not ready for this yet, but what they should have done is they should have had Brett and Yoko at the beginning of the show. They should have
Okay.
had Brett and Owen at the end of the show.
Right.
Owen beats Brett for the title, and then Brett is chasing Owen until SummerSlam to the cage match where he wins it back.
That would have been, I think that would have been awesome.
I think that would have been a much better
pretty
story.
Cool. Pretty cool.
If you
Owen forcing him to put the belt on the line
Yes.
at the
Right,
end of the show.
yes.
Right. While
Right.
he's already been through
Because-
the ringer.
Yep.
because Bret Hart did Talk Is Jericho a long time ago, and he told this story where the match that we saw at WrestleMania 10 between him and Owen was not the original match. Him and Owen put together a match that he said if you would have seen it, you would have thought that Owen Hart was the greatest wrestler of all time in the
Yeah,
entire world,
absolutely.
because
Absolutely.
they made a match that built Owen even better than that one did, and he's like,
Yep.
WWE told us no.
Yeah.
So
What a
it's-
mess it was when he went. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Tragic.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Ooh.
The
Yeah.
fucked up thing was, so I remember watching that with my buddy.
Right.
We were watching the pay-per-view. The whole thing happens.
Right.
We're, I forget what year it was, but we're kids, right? Like,
Right.
Mhm.
and I got home. My parents were like, "So, how was the show?" I was like, "Oh, it's good. I'm gonna go to bed." And they're like, "You're okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Anything special happened tonight?" And they don't normally ask, right? So I'm like, "Yeah, they
Right.
killed one guy off. I'm interested to see how they bring him back. Maybe they'll do it on Raw tomorrow night." And they were
Oh
like,
my
"You know that
God.
was real, right?" And
Oh
like,
my God.
that's when they were like, it was on the news, and that's like
crazy.
the whole blur of realities
Wow.
coming together was like,
Right. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Oh man.
holy
Wow.
shit, that was
Yeah.
actually real.
Yeah.
And that Monday night on Raw, I think I've cried heavier for Owen at that time than
Oh,
I did for people
yeah.
in my own family. That was
Yeah.
tragic, man.
It was just crazy to me, and like I think everybody on the show has the same feeling that like they shouldn't have continued the show. I mean, I know, I know
It's
the
such
show
a
goes
hard-
on,
it's such
but
a
you
hard
see
thing.
everybody in the ring afterwards, they just look miserable.
Yeah.
They look
Dude.
miserable.
Yeah.
Like you see Taker looks visibly he's visibly shaken by it, and he's like, I don't even know why I'm in the ring. Like, why is this?
Yeah.
Oh,
crazy.
Meanwhile,
It was-
you're worried about your friend, your brother, you whatever,
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
think they knew at that time, like, there's no way that happens and you walk away from it, or
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
yikes.
And I always feel bad for Jimmy Corderas, because when he tells the story, because he was in the ring,
Yeah.
and he tells he
Yeah.
tells the story. He almost got
He could have been out too.
he could have been hit by Owen, and
Yeah.
if I'm remembering correctly, I believe he tells the story that as Owen was falling, Owen was telling him to get out of the way.
Yeah, you
Right.
could hear him saying,
Yeah.
"Move."
Yeah.
That was his
So,
last worry.
like-
Wasn't about him. It was about the people.
Yeah.
involved.
Move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
incredible.
Crazy.
I don't even.
I mean,
know.
listen, I had a guy thrown over the ropes at me, Sam Adams, and the way he was caught, and I was still supposed to move out of the way, but I didn't move quick enough, and his
Oh,
boot
geez.
clocked me right here. To this
Oh.
day,
Mm,
6 months later, my jaw still clicks every time I
Oh.
eat something.
Right.
yeah,
So when the body can, and he's close, that's light.
Yeah.
That's
that's much.
Right.
not the
yeah.
full
Right.
force of someone coming down. Corderas would have been done.
Right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
But that's the thing. These guys, it's for the entertainment of the fans and
Yep.
the passion. I honestly think that if Owen was here in spirit today, he'd probably have no regrets over it. In
Oh,
all
no.
honesty, they do it. And you go into that knowing exactly he wouldn't have been up in the rafters if he didn't think. Well, you know
Right.
what? Who knows? What do
yeah.
we
Who
know?
knows
right?
exactly?
But I know that he probably, like I've said to plenty of people, if I'm gonna die, and it happened in the ring, me personally, I'd have no complaints. That's
Right.
exactly where I would have no problem
Right.
going in for a big slam, and then you're looking at God saying, "Where am I?"
Right.
like that would be
Right.
the way I'd want to
Yeah.
go out.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
But listen, on a positive note, how about we
Yes.
get to number one?
Yes.
Let's
Let's
get
get
And
to
you
number
know what?
one.
I think Owen would be a perfect candidate for this too.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Because number one would go to the workhorses.
Oh
There
yes.
it is.
There it is, baby.
The
The
workhorse
IC,
title. And
the OG IC title with the black
I mean,
strap.
I think
with
this
the black strap.
was the world title. In
Oh,
my mind. These were the
oh,
more exciting
just-
matches.
The names that have held that belt in the past: Warrior, Hart, the list goes
Mr.
on and on.
Perfect.
Mr. Perfect. Just
Yeah,
The list goes on. The list goes
that
on. And there weren't
forever,
many of
yeah.
them, but there was a ton of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're all amazing. They're all amazing.
of course.
And every single one of them had to hold this at the time
Yep.
before they got
sure.
to the
Yep,
wing deal.
the main
You
belt.
know,
That was
the
step
time
up,
when
yep.
growth, I feel, was really taken seriously. The guys went from
Yeah.
the tag team, they'd split,
Yep.
they'd go for this,
Yep.
they'd win it, they'd
Mhm.
lose it, they'd be in the world title picture. And every guy had like that method of school to get
I
to
think
get to the top.
my favorite IC holder for me has to be Macho Man, but just because all of his promos, he would bring a prop with him and then improvise that prop into the promo. He had a trash
Bring in
can.
the prop, brother.
He had the K-cups just out of
yeah.
nowhere. He
The
had
little creamer cup.
The little
Yeah.
creamer cup. Yeah.
the mug. Like he had so
Everything.
many.
Yeah, he's
he
so
was so
good.
good at making props for his matches and using them into promos. And it was most of them were for when he held that IC belt, and it was just perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
I feel like that his character was just there was never any more Randy Papa, you know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
it was
Yeah.
Macho
Yeah.
Man.
Yep.
Every time you hear a wrestler tell a story about him and they bring it up, they always talk.
Yeah.
in
They always
his voice.
they always change the voice.
And
They
then they
always
say to
change
me,
the voice.
"Hey, Ruda." Like, man, I wish I knew that guy for 5 seconds.
Seriously. Oh yeah.
Such a
that
good-
would have been
yeah.
the coolest thing. I mean,
Roddy Piper, Bret Hart,
Yeah.
WrestleMania 10 we talked about, seeing
Yes.
two
Yep.
of these suckers dangling from the top.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
That
Wasn't
was my
that
big
with the first ever ladder match? Wasn't that with
That
Michael
was the
and
first ladder
yeah.
match at
and Razor?
WrestleMania.
It was the
Yeah.
first ladder match on TV. Yeah.
Yep,
Like
yep.
they'd done them at house shows,
House shows.
but they never they did things in that match that revolutionized.
Nobody ever done then. Yeah, at that point.
I mean,
It's
stuff you'd never
amazing.
seen before.
Classic.
They put on such a show, and you think about it, the importance of that ladder match, the importance of the ladder match making its way onto pay-per-view. The two
Right.
guys that were wrestling for it, and it wasn't for the world title. It was
No.
for the Intercontinental title because
Yeah.
that one was more important at the time.
Yep.
Like you have some titles that just transcend importance, and
Right.
that at that time. I mean, you think about it. For me, the Winged Eagle title, that belt, and those tag titles, the old school WWE tag titles, like
Mhm.
that's it for me. Like those
Yep.
are the real championships. If you held those, you're somebody.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Absolutely.
But yeah,
And speaking of like the world title not being the main event, what about when the Dudleys, the Hardys,
Right.
Edge and Christian
Right.
made those two tag titles more important than any of
oh,
these other?
absolutely,
That
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah.
They came on and
Right.
you were like ready for it.
Right.
yeah. Taking tag team wrestling to another level. Just
Oh yeah.
there's moments in time where you have guys that are revolutionary towards like the belts that the divisions they're in.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rockers never got to hold the tag titles. They reversed they actually won the tag titles in a 2 out of 3 falls match
2 out of
against the
3
Hart
falls.
Foundation on Saturday night's main event. But during the third fall, the ropes on the ring broke, and so they had to finish the match without the ropes. And so WWE decided to reverse the decision and never air the match. It's actually you can see the match on the Saturday night's main event DVD set. And it's just the match. There's no commentary because they never recorded commentary for it because it
Right.
wasn't on TV. So the Rockers actually win the belts. They're celebrating in the ring. They're jumping around, and they never recognized it on TV.
Yep.
Never
Never
according to
existed.
WWE never happened.
Never
So,
existed.
See, that's the thing too with like these guys. You never know where they're going to end up. My very,
Right.
very first ever pro wrestling match I ever watched was the opening match on SummerSlam, which was the Rockers versus Power and Glory.
Nice.
Shawn Michaels gets injured right off the bat. Jannetty carried the whole thing, and in my mind, when they split and were going their other ways, never in a million years would you have got me to believe that Michaels was the one that was going to take off and skyrocket.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marty,
You never know.
unfortunately, was one of those missed opportunities, I think, after, or just bad timing. Like, he was just,
Yeah.
as soon as they split, that was it. Like, bad timing.
I'm not sure what it was that they never saw in him what they saw in Shawn.
Right.
But,
What a talent Jannetty was. You know,
Oh, yeah. He was, absolutely.
That Monday Night Raw when he beat him, I have a signed white Intercontinental Championship by Marty Jannetty.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I feel like in my mind, I woke up and last night was the night that he beat Shawn Michaels. Like it's that vivid.
Right.
It's that easy to remember. I can taste the air in my living room.
Right.
That was one of those moments.
Yeah, I remember when he came out, he had the hoodie on with the hood up and he flipped the hood down and it's Marty and everybody's freaking out because he had been off of TV
Perfect
for a while.
came into the mix.
Yeah.
Yep.
He'd been off of TV for a while, so it was cool.
Yeah.
It was a big surprise. Like,
in the old Manhattan Center.
Back then, you could keep surprises.
Yeah.
Back
then surprises were known or weren't.
You know what though? That's the power of surprises. Who knew about CM Punk coming?
I know, right?
Sure,
I know.
Because
it's about time they actually got one bias. That was nothing but speculation.
Even the people that thought they knew in their head could never fathom that they'd actually pull the trigger. So like when they put the logo on the screen and the show was ending,
that's a Hunter thing.
Yeah, like, that's always has been.
And that's
always has been.
But the thing is, like, you just figured it was over because you thought there's no way they'll pull the trigger. I just talked to a guy yesterday who was like, dude, I turned the show off.
I was just like, imagine the people that turned it off.
I went to bed and I thought to myself, he's like, well, CM Punk didn't come back, so it is what it is.
And
then he gets up the next
morning. Yeah, it's this whole thing.
What did I do? How did I miss that? Like, yeah. So Hunter got one guy.
But that's the power of those surprises. I'm on my couch that night. I'm out of my mind on my phone.
Yeah.
Saying,
losing it. Yeah.
I bought a ticket to the Royal Rumble.
Nice.
I didn't even know what they were doing, but I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out. I'll get there one way.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out later.
Yeah. Let's see. But that's why I love the Rumble so much because the Rumble is just surprise on top of surprise.
Surprise city.
The best.
Wait for AJ to come back. Watch her at least make an appearance in the Rumble.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either.
No, not at all.
You can't name drop on TV like that without a reason behind it. Like
some kind of what are they called? Easter eggs tickled in there.
Yeah, little surprises. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, and you know what makes the Intercontinental title so great? John Cena never held it.
Yeah, that's a true statement.
True
statement.
Oh, you're right. No version of it.
No, he never held it. He never held it.
He was
had it.
Yep. Very. What do you guys think of the now current Intercontinental design?
I love. The design
it's different
itself,
in its own way.
I've gotten used to. At first, I didn't like it because I loved that belt. That was the belt for me. Was that belt? So. But I think since Gunther has had such an extended and an amazing reign with it, I think I've finally come around to it on him. I think he made it finally mean something again.
Yep.
Because he's held it for so long, and he beat, the record of Honky Tonk, which apparently he was very sour about. Oh my god!
Oh no, kidding! Didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
No, he was he was very sour about that loss.
That's one
Funny story with him. We're in Livonia, Michigan for Evolve. And I'm sitting at a table with him, Tim Thatcher, and Gabe Sapolsky.
Okay.
And they were spinning their match and things to do for whatever.
Right.
And next thing you know, and if you could visually picture this, a guy like Tim Thatcher and a guy like Gunther, next thing you know, we're all just doing Beavis and Butthead impersonations. We're talking about things that we loved on TV shows we grew up with.
Yeah.
So just picture the two of them doing Beavis and Butthead impersonations.
That's awesome.
The things just keep backstage.
Yeah. Well, so I appreciate the design of the belt for what it is, like for a belt.
It's
I
definitely a
have
unique design. I'm glad it's not
Yeah.
a big
Yeah.
freaking
Yeah,
I
it
just-
is unique. It stands out from the rest of the obvious big giant
It
W
reminds
belts.
me of something like this, that it has
Yeah.
its own kind of fresh design.
Yeah.
But for me, I have a hard time with Gunther setting history and making such history without that design. Like
Right.
it's a disconnect for me. You know what
Without
I mean?
this
Like,
design,
yes, if
Yeah.
I was him,
God,
I would have come out for the celebration. I would have had the long trench coat on. I would have had the current IC title over my shoulder, and I'd have said,
Right.
I set history, I made history, I did it. I'm the best,
I'm the
but this
workhorse.
belt is not
Yeah,
the best.
exactly. Yeah.
And I would toss the belt to the side, and I would open up my coat, and I would have that on, and I would be
Right.
like, history deserves history.
Yes.
That's how I would have done it, because I just think that belt, to me, next to the winged eagle belt, there's no other belt that
my top
epitomizes
No.
wrestlers'
Absolutely not.
greatness. That belt says everything about it.
Yeah.
And the fact that they ever got away from that design just blew my
Oh
mind.
man, could you imagine if they brought it back?
Yes.
I know, right?
Listen, you know what?
You
This
remember
could-
when Cody brought this back, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
like you're saying about Gunther,
Yes.
when he came back, dropped that,
Yeah.
the U.S. title version of it, or not the U.S. title, the old Intercontinental, and brought
Yeah.
this one, the oval one.
Mhm.
I hated that oval one
I didn't. That one in the. Well, I guess that
until
one
I had it made as a nation.
I like because that
belt.
was my
Next thing you know,
era.
now
I
we
guess
got
that was
the-
my era of the IC belt growing
Yeah.
up. So
Coming off of this one, it was a very hard one to fall in love with.
Right.
Well, I was so surprised
Yeah.
that we made it for the Nation
Yeah.
of Domination belt.
right.
I think that's
Yeah.
where I got a little bit more once I saw it in person and not on TV.
But
All right, so-
yeah.
But for him to go back and bring
Well-
this one back was epic.
Right.
All right. So let me ask you this while we're on the subject of intercontinental titles. Do you think that Gunther is going to hold the title till Mania and then lose it at Mania? Because here's a thought.
Okay.
If he's going to lose the title at Mania, whoever wins the title from him, be it the Miz or whoever they're deciding to go with at this point, which
Right.
there's two interesting conversations I had yesterday with some people. One was, what if CM Punk's the one to take the IC title from Gunther? That's
Oh.
interesting. But
Okay.
my personal thought was, what if Damian Priest cashes in on Gunther?
Oh wow.
'Cause he could cash
Instead
in
of the
on
main
Gunther.
belt. Right.
Yes.
Right.
But let's say that, Gunther loses the title to whoever, and then Cody wins the title back from Cody wins the title from Roman.
right.
What if, the following night on Raw, Cody comes out with the winged eagle belt, and whoever wins the IC title comes out with that one? Talk about a moment.
Oh.
I
Well,
think that's a dream scenario.
well, I
that
think
would be,
for
It would be epic.
because Cody wants the winged
Oh,
eagle
yeah.
belt.
I would
He's
say
made that clear.
for Cody, he said for I think years at this point that if he wins the belt, he wants to bring it back to
He
its
wants
old
that.
prestige.
Yeah. But I think it
That
would
would
be
be
interesting
so-
to see whoever wins the IC title do the
Right.
same, just to kind of,
Right.
you know.
Bring
Well,
all
I
the
think
winnings
Gunther's
back.
at that point where he is the one elevating the next talent that gets it. Whoever beats
absolutely.
him for that is going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
future world champion. Gunther's
Yep.
definitely going to be going on to the world title at least.
Right.
Like challenging someone like Rollins or Punk if he's holding it by then.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do like what you were saying about someone like Punk holding that. I would love
Right.
to see, because there's like AEW, there's going to get to be so many of these top tier guys, and you got 2 world title spots, which some argue is already too much.
Right.
Mhm.
So what do you do with these other guys? And I think if you were to flood the world title, the undisputed belt,
Right.
the US title, and the Intercontinental with nothing but these big names like Cody and Punk,
Yeah.
think about those matches, who they're fighting and who they're constantly beating to elevate to a level where they can finally get those belts off of them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
when you have those guys then graduating past main event caliber matches for a
Yeah.
mid-card
Mhm.
belt, now the world title and now the universal title is something that's even more prestige because these guys will have grown to that level.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like there's too many people that are just, they skip the mid-card belts. They're thrown
Yeah.
right into the main picture.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or they don't spend enough time in there in the U.S. with the Intercontinental space, and I feel like they don't really truly develop the way that they should. They
Yeah,
might
and
earn it or
right.
deserve to be in there, but their
Well,
character
Right.
and person doesn't develop.
Until Gunther came along, the mid card wasn't really prestigious enough for anybody to really waste their time with. But now, like it's such a prestigious thing. I mean, look at Chad Gable.
Yeah,
you know, Chad Gable is a phenomenal wrestler,
phenomenal talent.
And you know, we got
that match against Gunther. I was shocked.
So good, man.
That was upset worthy in like
good.
history right there.
So he's such a great wrestler, and then we get to see this other side of him as he does, you know, the academy
Coach.
and everything.
Yeah,
and then
Coach.
now, like, you know, he gets his due finally as someone who, you know, deserves to be in the picture. You know, like you said, that match with Gunther was incredible.
Was
and that
so
was
good.
a roller coaster ride from top
Hands
to
down,
bottom.
best match Gunther's had yet. Period.
Yeah,
Well,
because you
and-
believe
And that was on a Monday Night Raw. That wasn't even like a premiere show. Like what the?
Yeah.
Ralph and I have said multiple times that triple threat match at Mania was probably the match of the night.
Oh, that stole
that
it.
match was.
I think that
it
was the
stole
best
night.
match out of Mania.
So
39.
good. It
was so
For
good.
me, it was the best.
It was the best. It was like from top to bottom. It was just a house fight, 3 big dudes, and they did everything. And it
awesome.
felt gritty and just brutal.
It was,
and it was just
real. It was
so
a battle.
good. It was.
I
so
even feel
good.
like the Mania matches are getting better and better too. I feel like there's been, I mean, even with it being 2 nights, if you look at it, I kind of like in my gut, I feel like it's the trophy night for everybody where everyone's getting to be on the show. And now there's so many, we can't not have you guys on. So we'll give 2 nights.
Yeah.
Right.
Imagine if they said, we're going to have 7 matches, period. We're having 8 matches and that's it.
That's it.
You want to be on Mania, buckle up and do something. You know,
Right.
Yeah,
like
right,
those 8
right.
matches are going to be incredible.
Yep.
But I feel like because there's been so many matches over the year, they have the pre-show on. There's other matches. People aren't really pushing themselves to be at their best because they know they're going to be on there.
Right.
They know they get their Mania moment.
Yep.
But now I feel like within the last year or two, like the matches have just been getting better and better throughout
Yeah,
the show.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely the cards are definitely more anticipated because of that. I think
Yeah.
you see like. You know, you see a lot of great stuff on night 1. You know, now that there's 2 sort of, you know,
Wasn't Kevin Owens and
event
Stone
spot.
Cold the main event in night
Yep.
1?
That
And
was
it
night 1, yeah.
Phenomenal.
So
It
now
was
that
so
there's 2
good.
main event spots, everybody's like jumping at the chance to get, you know, because you know
That
you
match
have
was
so many.
It
Yeah,
was.
that
It
match was
so
great.
good.
And I still think that at some point we're gonna see Stone Cold and CM Punk. That's
Yeah, I think that.
Bring that up, yeah.
because it's perfect. It's already made. I think it's gonna happen because I think
Yeah.
Austin has said if the situation is right and the match makes sense, you know, he's
do
got
it.
another match
Yeah.
in
He
him.
took a suplex on the outside on
Dude,
concrete.
that whole match was nuts, man. He took so many bumps that I
Tremendous.
wasn't expecting.
I
Crazy.
pictured
Crazy.
like like those matches you would have with a guy from like the 70s and 80s, and you have an 80-year-old in there, you make him look strong. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like where Stone Cold doesn't
Right.
have to work. We're always
Right.
there. And yo, Stone
No,
Cold,
Stone Cold
he's been
works.
sitting on something for a while.
Yeah.
Stone
Yeah.
Cold
And what I
works.
love now is clearly we're out of an era of wrestling where what's best for business happens. I think
Right.
Hunter is proving
Oh yeah.
fans want it.
Yeah.
If there's a buzz out there,
Yeah.
I'll bite my tongue and I'll put this under the carpet to give you
Right.
guys what you want. Because Punk
Exactly.
Yeah.
should not have shown up, and Punk probably shouldn't have been welcome in those doors
Right.
by the outside audio. I have
Oh, of
absolutely
course,
no
of
idea what
course.
happens, but from the
Right.
word and from what he's done, I wouldn't want that kind of supposed cancer in there. But I'm a Punk
Right.
guy. I love him.
Right. Oh, me too.
So to
Same.
see him come back, holy moly, fuck
It makes-
yeah! I think
makes wrestling-
we're in for a really exciting time in wrestling.
Oh yeah.
It
Absolutely.
makes it exciting again. Like you're
Stone Cold
excited
and
to watch
CM Punk
wrestling.
is
You know?
100% possible.
Yeah. I was
What are
telling
the-
Ralph off air that for the first time in I think years, I was actually excited to watch Raw the next night. I was
Yo,
amped. I was
my
like, I can't
God.
wait. I
Yeah,
can't wait.
dude.
Yeah, I was excited.
Yeah, and how excited are you for Punk on SmackDown next week?
Oh, I can't
Like
wait.
seriously, I mean,
Can't wait.
you can't wait, right?
Oh.
Exactly. Like
The
it's-
only thing I wish they did, and maybe this is the unprofessionalism in me,
Okay.
is that Medusa moment. I wish Punk came out
With the AEW
with the
belt
AEW
and threw it in the garbage.
I mean, there's still time for it. There's still an opportunity for it. But a throwback and a spark
but wait.
to some kind of
you know what they're waiting for? What they're waiting for is if
MJF.
the TV deal goes if the TV deal goes through and they move Raw to Wednesday night, the first time they're head to head with Dynamite, you watch that happen.
Right.
First time
if they have a direct war going on, I
bet you they're because that's a lot of the buzz right now is that like Warner's in the lead for it and they're talking about possibly doing a TV deal on Wednesday nights. So I think it's brilliant. I think it's the way to go.
Now, do you think AEW hangs or improves, or do you see a similar path of what happened with WCW happening?
I think
they merge into one and.
I don't think they're going to merge. I think we're in an era now where they both understand that having friendly competition makes both sides better. I feel like if it was Vince would just want to crush it. But I think Triple H has a different mindset. Triple H is like, no.
Yeah.
Having AEW is what's best for everyone. It gives people more options for wrestling. He sees the value in having wrestling be more accessible to more people other than just WWE.
Yeah, it's more stuff like for guys like you to be talking about, more buzz in the air. It's just more. It's more drama in an
exactly.
Well, and honestly, I feel like as big as his talk is, I feel like Tony Khan's a guy that understands that as well.
Same.
That like,
and he's got a fan in him.
Everything
too,
everything is best for business when there's healthy competition. Like just because WWE is now like on the same night as us, that doesn't mean that we can't both be good and we can't both have the fans. So I feel like from AEW's camp they have been more on this kick of like getting rid of like the pack mentality as far as being a wrestling fan, and that's good for everyone.
I love seeing all the names. I mean, listen, you can only have so many names under one roof.
Exactly.
When they leave and they show up, I don't think it matters what roof or what promotion it's under. You get dream matchups all over the place at that point.
I mean, look at Edge. Edge to AEW. Nobody thought that was the thing. Everyone thought he was a
zero
WWE lifer.
Right.
But even he said now he has opportunities that he's never faced before, matches that he's never even dreamed of.
Like only possible in the video games.
Right? Like now it's come to life.
I mean, look at Christian. The world now knows what wrestlers have been saying for years about how good he is.
So good. Yeah.
So it's. I think
that guy's older than me. He's like early 40s, mid 40s.
I think he's close. I think he's close to 50. I think he's 49.
Right, and he's got a better physique than a lot of those guys in their mid to late 20s.
He is 50 years old.
Yeah, there you go. He's 50 years old and killing it.
Yeah, absolutely killing it. Yeah.
Yep. And he's still wearing a turtleneck to cover up.
Which is my favorite part is that he wears a turtleneck to the ring.
I love it. Yes,
I love it. I love
Listen, instead of T-shirts, they should sell turtlenecks for
they
him.
Should. I would buy.
It could say like Christian Cage up here on the turtleneck. I'd buy one for every day of the week.
Yep.
Worked everyone.
Yes. Oh man. Well, this has been phenomenal.
A lot of fun. Yeah.
This conversation has kind of branched off into all kinds of things, but that's what we like to do.
The beauty of it.
We love discussing opinions, and you certainly you brought the championship material in more ways than one.
With you.
We got physically. I say no to playing with my favorite toys. A 40-year-old kid, and this is my Ghostbusters.
I'm the same way. I'm the same way. Let me ask you a question. How many belts do you currently have in your collection?
So in my own personal collection.
Yes, your own personal collection.
Very, very, very few. They're ones that I've used. So my collection consists of my life insurance championship was the first belt I used. 2 world titles that were with champions that I managed.
Right.
They're made from the independent scenes there. I have a Evolve championship because I was in Evolve.
Nice.
I've got a U.S. championship that I had made because I worked with Gene Snitsky. Gene he'd come out as the American Slasher Snitsky.
Nice.
So the American Slasher, the U.S. champion. So I have that one signed by him. So titles that I've either, been in companies with, world titles, champions that I managed, or memorabilia type stuff. But ones that I've been directly involved with. But if you count like the inventory and everything, man, I probably have about like 40 of them. I try and get like these, one of at least everything. So if I go to shows, I can take them. People can order them.
Yep.
They want to get them offline, they can.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So I got one last question for you, and this is kind of a throwback to our previous championship discussions here on Opinion City. But I have to know your opinion about this one because this one was probably our most divisive discussion.
I think I know where we're going with this.
Is the Jeff Hardy TNA title the ugliest title of all time? That goofy.
I want to say yes instantly, but give me a minute here. The face one that he had, right?
Yeah, the face one he had.
It was a purple strap, and it was silver plates, and it
was like his face paint.
When he even brought that out, I remember because that was probably like 2005, 2007.
Yeah, it was like early on in his. It was a little later than that because he wasn't champion yet in TNA.
No, that was absolutely the worst belt.
Oh, see, I'm on the other side. I thought it was a good belt. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, no, he saw it and I was like, what is that?
I thought it was cool,
God,
all right?
No.
Fine, I'm in the minority, all right?
And he replaced it with the cool-looking world title, too, didn't
he? No comment.
Yeah, it was just...
Sean, maybe that can be the one terrible. That I get custom made for you.
Listen,
I'll get you a 6mm. Think of the Jeff Hardy one.
If a title belt has lips on it and your name is not Billy Gunn or Johnny B. Bad, it's terrible.
I'm trying to think. There's got to be one out there that's worse than that, but I just don't think there is.
My worst one, or one of my worst ones, was the original national championship in NWA. That was just the United States title on a belt, just the U.S.
Oh, the shape of the United States.
Yeah, that was
right?
it. I'm like, that's lazy.
I thought that was a North American championship.
I think it was like something like that, but yeah, it was.
But it was
literally
American.
North America splat on a belt.
Just
I'm like, that's just
on a big square.
Yeah.
This
is plain, just boring. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, plain's one thing, but bad's another.
That one's both.
Super gimmicky. It was super gimmicky.
Super gimmicky.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay. I'm glad.
Sorry,
we got
Sean.
that.
If I knew
we got that
going
debate
into it, I might have
It's fine. I'm in the minority. I get it. It's cool.
All right. Well, so we want to thank our fans for tuning in. We want to thank our very special guest, Mr. Ruda of Ruda Entertainment, PPW, BPW fame. Guys, make sure you check out Mr. Ruda. We've been running his socials
right there,
along
baby.
the bottom. If you're looking for a title belt, you cannot go wrong with Ruda Entertainment.
Get Mr. Ruda's belt.
RudaEntertainment.com.
High quality.
Yes.
High quality. Man.
So check them out on socials or RudaEntertainment.com, guys. You cannot go wrong with one of these belts. They are of the highest quality. And if you're not doing anything, December 16th, guys, PPW has lights out at the Slatington Marketplace. So you can get tickets online. If you are not able to be in Slatington, you can see it on the Premier Network.
Premier Streaming Network. The following weekend, too. BPW, Battlefield Pro Wrestling.
There you go.
Show on, I think it's the 16th and the 17th.
Okay.
Excellent.
Two-night show. The main event of the second night is going to be Jacob Fatu versus Danny Math.
Ooh.
And that is going to be
won't miss.
Insane. No, you cannot miss that one.
No.
Live in Broadheadville, Pennsylvania, or on the Premier Streaming Network.
Awesome.
John, if you can get out to one of those nights, I'll replace that belt for you, too.
All right.
So there you go. Some big shows coming up. And of course, next week, we are being joined by Billy Avery, who will be here to talk about Labor of Love Philly. So we're also excited about that. So once again, guys, thanks for joining us this week. Thank you to our special guest, Mr. Ruda. And Mr. Ruda, we will be talking to you soon.
My man. Appreciate the time, guys. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us. All right, Sean, that was quite an excellent episode.
This big heavy belt down over here now. Oh.
Yeah. Man, that was a lot of fun. Obviously a guy who's rooted in the independent scene and is just doing some really cool stuff. So, please, guys, go out and support.
Check him out.
Check him
Find
out.
him. Find PPW.
I mean, I cannot stress enough how great his belts are.
Buy two belts.
Yeah, one for each shoulder.
Exactly.
Get yourself tag belts and
double
just
champion,
be the tag team champion,
triple
by
champion,
like,
triple crown
seriously.
champion. Just do
Absolutely. Well, Sean, another fantastic episode.
Yes.
And again, we'll be back next week with our guest Billy Avery talking about Labor of Love Philly.
Mm-hmm.
And so please, make sure you follow, share, and like us wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube.
Subscribe to all the things.
Buy a belt from Ruda Entertainment.
Buy a belt.
Walk up and down the street. Show people your belt.
Showcase the belt.
Tell them about Ruda Entertainment and tell them listen to Opinion City Podcast.
Yell at them saying I'm the tag team champions.
That's right. I'm the tag team champions. So yes. So make sure you follow us, like us, share us. We're on all the socials at Opinion City Pod. You can find us everywhere. So Sean, it has been another fantastic week.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The word.
So guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you guys next time.
Opinion City, signing off.
This is also Ann here. You're listening to Opinion City Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Happy trail.